Carl Jung said, "Whatever is meant for you will find you." Have you ever looked at your life and felt like you were being left behind? Like no matter how much you plan, no matter how hard you hustle, something still slips through your fingers, like sand. Everyone else seems to be moving forward, getting married, finding success, discovering their purpose. But you're stuck in this loop. One step forward, two steps back, praying, waiting, hoping, wondering. Did I miss it? Did I mess it up? Am I too late? But what if I told you, you're not late? You're right on time. Because Carl Jung once said, "Everything that is meant for you will find you." And that one sentence has the power to break the chains of doubt you've been carrying for years. Because it's not about chasing what's yours, it's about becoming the person who can receive what's already yours. Destiny doesn't rush, fate doesn't panic, and your future, it's not lost, it's aligning. But here's the brutal truth no one tells you. Sometimes life delays what's meant for you, because you're still holding on to what's not. This video is not just a message, it's a mirror. And if you have the courage to face what's inside it, you'll finally understand the spiritual law that governs everything. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. So today, we're diving deep into Carl Jung's forgotten truth about timing, synchronicity, and soul alignment. Because what's meant for you will not pass you, but only if you do this one thing. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Your destiny is already looking for you. What if I told you that the future you've been chasing and is already chasing you? That the love you crave, the opportunity you dream about, the peace you long for, they're not lost in the distance. They're orbiting you, hovering close, waiting, not for you to chase harder, but for you to align deeper. Because here's the brutal truth. Your destiny is not blind. It's intelligent. And it can't find the masked version of you, the version that shrinks to please, hides to survive, and fakes to be loved. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, not luck, not coincidence, but divine alignment. Synchronicity is the meaningful connection of events. Carl Jung. It's when the external world mirrors the internal one, when your soul finally starts vibrating at the same frequency as the life you were meant for, when your healing echoes into your habits, and your energy becomes your signature. That's not magic, that's maturity. That's what happens when you stop chasing what's missing and start becoming what's magnetic. Destiny is never late, but it is precise. It doesn't arrive until the version of you that can receive it has arrived too. You keep asking, where is it? Why hasn't it happened yet? What am I doing wrong? But maybe it's not about doing. Maybe it's about undoing. Undoing the conditioning that told you to play small. Undoing the trauma that made you believe you're not worthy. Undoing the self-sabotage disguised as perfectionism. Because once the real you comes forward, the universe starts to respond. Doors you didn't knock on swing open. People you never expected show up. And everything that once felt impossible suddenly begins to feel inevitable. This is the law of energy. You don't chase what's meant for you. You align with it. So take off the mask. Speak the truth. Choose the path that scares you because it's real. And watch what happens when your soul becomes louder than your fear. Your destiny is already looking for you. The question is, will it recognize you when it arrives? Chapter 2. The pain of pushing before you're ready. What if I told you? The very thing you've been praying for. The love you dream about. The opportunity you chase in silence. The breakthrough that keeps showing up in your daydreams. It's not running away from you. It's circling you, watching you, waiting for the real you to finally show up. Because what's meant for you isn't hiding. You are. And destiny has a rule. It does not respond to the mask. It responds to your essence. Carl Jung said something that most people never fully understand. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You think your fate is random, but it's not. It's reactive. It reacts to your vibration, your wounds, your healing, your honesty. Every time you deny your truth, delay your growth, or pretend to be someone you're not, You block the very thing that's been sent to bless you. That love? It's not avoiding you, it just doesn't recognize the mask you're wearing. That opportunity, it's not late. It's waiting for your alignment, not your anxiety. And this is where synchronicity begins, the Jungian truth that changed everything. Synchronicity is not luck, it's not a random coincidence. It's the sacred collision between who you're becoming and what's already yours. Think of it like a spiritual GPS. Your destiny is trying to locate you, but if you're pretending, performing, or pleasing, you're sending mixed signals to the universe. Carl Jung believed that the universe doesn't just hand you your destiny, it hands you mirrors, painful ones, to strip away everything that's not real. So when the right moment arrives, you don't sabotage it, you recognize it. Let me be real with you for a second. The life you crave isn't found by chasing. It's unlocked by resonance, and resonance requires maturity. The maturity to stop forcing timelines. The maturity to stop comparing your journey. The maturity to stop begging life to move faster and start becoming someone who's ready. Because when you're ready, not perfect but honest, the pieces move, doors open, people show up, and everything you once thought was lost finds its way back to you. Not because you chased it, but because you finally became it. Chapter 3. Your ego wants it now, but your soul knows better. Your ego is loud, it screams, I want it now, I deserve it today. Why isn't it here yet? The ego is obsessed with the finish line, with results, with image, with speed. It wants the blessing, not the becoming. It wants the crown, without the crushing. But your soul is silent, still, patient. It doesn't chase validation. It craves evolution. Carl Jung, the master of the unconscious, wrote, "The soul attracts what it needs for its evolution, not what the ego wants for validation." Let that sink in. That dream job, that partner, that big win you've been begging the universe for. Maybe it's not wrong, maybe it's just early. You see, the soul is never in a rush, because the soul doesn't need to prove anything. It needs to become something. And what you're going through right now, the waiting, the silence, the delay, it's not punishment, it's precision, because sometimes the wait is the preparation, the delay is the refinement, the silence is the sharpening. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. And this is where ego and soul collide. The ego wants comfort, the soul demands growth. The ego seeks applause, the soul seeks alignment. The ego fears failure, the soul understands even pain has purpose. So maybe that thing you wanted so badly would have crushed the older version of you, and maybe your soul knew that. Because life doesn't give you what you fantasize about. It gives you what you're truly ready to carry, what you're mature enough to hold without destroying yourself or others. Jung's psychology teaches us, the real journey isn't chasing your desires, it's healing the parts of you that aren't ready for those desires yet. Because manifestation without transformation leads to self-destruction. So here's the truth you must hold. What you're asking for is not too big. You're just becoming big enough to hold it. And when that becoming is complete, the thing that once felt so far away will feel like it always belonged to you, not by force, but by frequency. Chapter 4. Stop chasing, start aligning. You say you want love. You cry for it, pray for it, search for it in every text message, every glance, every almost relationship. But are you still hiding behind your childhood wounds? Still pushing people away because deep down, you don't believe you're lovable? Still self-sabotaging every time someone gets too close? You say you want success. You scream affirmations, make vision boards, manifest, journal, hustle. But are you still vibrating in scarcity? Still comparing yourself? Still feeling guilty for wanting more, while carrying the shame of not being enough? You say you want to meet your destiny. But are you even being honest about who you are? Because Carl Jung, the pioneer of deep soul work, once warned us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. What if you're not stuck? What if you're simply misaligned? What if the reason it hasn't shown up is because you've been chasing what's meant to be attracted? And what you don't realize is, your destiny has never been far. It's been circling your orbit, waiting not for your effort, but for your alignment. Here's the hard truth. You don't get what you post online. You don't get what you beg for at 2 a.m. You don't get what you pretend to be in front of others. You get what you vibrate. Because the universe doesn't speak English. It speaks frequency. If you're still vibrating in fear, pain, lack, self-betrayal, how can your future recognize you? Jung's entire life's work taught us one thing. We don't chase healing. We become it. We integrate it. Because the more you run from your shadow, the more you delay the miracle meant to find the real you. So maybe, just maybe, the relationship you're begging for is waiting for you to forgive your past. The breakthrough you're chasing is waiting for you to let go of guilt. The version of life you've only seen in dreams is waiting for you to finally believe you deserve it. Alignment is not a buzzword. It's a lifestyle. It's not about crystals, quotes, or candles. It's about radical honesty. Are you really showing up as the version of you who can hold what you're asking for? Can your nervous system even handle the next level you're praying for? Because you don't manifest what you wish for. You manifest what you're wired for. So stop chasing the next thing and start clearing the blockages within. Because what you seek is not far away. It's just one deep breath, one act of self-love, one soul-aligned decision away. And once you become a match for your miracle, it will no longer run from you. It will recognize you. It will run to you. Chapter 6. The real you is your miracle. You keep asking for miracles. You want the breakthrough, the moment that changes your life. But here's the truth no one tells you. The biggest miracle you'll ever experience is the moment you stop pretending and finally become you. Not the wounded version, not the performing version, not the version shaped by shame, fear, or the need to fit in, but the real you. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That's not just a quote, that's your mission. You see, the universe doesn't respond to the version of you you project. It responds to the version you embody. And embodiment begins when the masks fall off. When you stop asking, "What do they want me to be?" and start asking, "Who am I really?" The you before the heartbreak, before the rejection, before you were told you were too much or not enough. That pure, powerful essence is still alive inside you, but it's been buried, under trauma, under expectations, under survival. Every time you betray your truth to be accepted, every time you abandon your needs to keep the peace, every time you shrink so others feel comfortable, you bury your miracle a little deeper. The miracle isn't a relationship. It's not a job. It's not some moment that finally makes it all make sense. The miracle is your return to self, to the wholeness you were born with, the alignment you didn't have to earn. Only remember. Because here's the deepest truth Jung ever whispered. Your visions will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Look into your own heart. Not social media, not culture, not even your past. Because clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from stillness, from the sacred moment you stop running and finally remember who you are. That's when things shift. Not because you forced them, but because you finally stopped being a stranger to your own soul. The world doesn't need a louder version of your mask. It needs the quiet power of your truth. That's where the magnetism lives. That's where your destiny recognizes you. The real you doesn't beg. The real you doesn't chase. The real you attracts, because your energy becomes undeniable. People feel it. Opportunities notice it. Life responds to it. Carl Jung's work wasn't about becoming someone new. It was about remembering someone ancient, the you that existed before the world told you who to be. And once you tap into that version, you stop waiting for miracles, because you become one. And that version of you? That version doesn't just hope for alignment. It is alignment. So the next time you feel like you're stuck behind or unworthy, pause. Close your eyes and ask yourself, have I truly shown the world who I am? Not the filtered, over-functioning, people-pleasing version. The real you. The wild one. The soft one. The wise one. Because when the real you shows up, so does your destiny. Not by chance, not by magic, but by recognition. Because your life can't change until you do. And when you finally remember who you are, the universe remembers too. Chapter 8. The cost of evolution is real. Here's the raw truth no one wants to admit. Evolution has a cost, and that cost is everything you were never meant to keep, Everybody wants to evolve. Everybody wants to rise. Everybody wants to heal, grow, transform, become powerful, magnetic, unshakable. But no one wants to pay the price. Because that price? It's loss. You will lose. You will lose the old version of you. The version that played small to make others comfortable. The version that tolerated disrespect just to feel loved. The version that made excuses for why you weren't showing up for your potential. You will lose friends, the ones who only liked the insecure version of you because it made them feel bigger. The ones who clapped when you were broken, but disappeared when you started glowing. The ones who didn't love you, they loved your compliance, your softness, your silence. You will lose comfort because healing is uncomfortable, growth is painful, and real transformation feels like death before it feels like rebirth. But you know what you gain. You gain you, the real you, the powerful, no longer apologizing, no longer hiding, no longer begging version of you, the version that looks in the mirror and says, I remember who I am now. Carl Jung said, in the process of individuation, we lose many things, but we find the self. And that self is the most expensive thing you'll ever purchase, because you can't pay for it with money. You pay for it with tears, with lonely nights, with shedding skin, with walking away from everything that felt familiar but wasn't right. Let's be brutally honest. Some people didn't leave because you failed. They left because you finally succeeded in remembering your worth. They didn't walk away because you changed. They walked away because your evolution threatened the comfort of their own stagnation. And you kept calling it loss. You kept grieving dead friendships. You kept doubting yourself every time someone ghosted, unfollowed, or talked behind your back. But now it's time to shift your lens. That's not loss, that's clarity. You didn't lose them. You lost the illusion that they were ever real. You didn't lose your old life. You lost the version of it that kept you caged. You didn't lose comfort. You lost the numbing that was keeping you asleep. You're not broken, you're becoming. And becoming is never clean. It's bloody, it's chaotic. It's full of silence and solitude and screaming into pillows. But on the other side, there's peace. Not the peace you fake for Instagram, the kind of peace that wraps itself around your nervous system and says, you're safe now, you're home now, you're you now. So yes, the cost of evolution is real. It's terrifying. It's isolating. It's lonely. But the reward is liberation. Because once you've met the real you will never again settle for a version of life that asks you to betray that person. Chapter 9. Stop trying to fix what's meant to be released. Let's stop pretending you're exhausted, not because life is hard, but because you're trying to resuscitate something that's already spiritually dead. You keep replaying conversations, reopening old doors, re-explaining your worth to people who were never supposed to understand it. You keep trying to fix broken things, broken bonds, broken timelines, as if your soul can't feel the truth. It's already over. Carl Jung said, we cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses. And the harsh truth is, you're not evolving because you're still negotiating with what's meant to be released. Let that sink in. You're not tired because life is punishing you. You're tired because you're fighting alignment. You're fighting your own becoming. You keep clinging to friendships that don't respect your boundaries, jobs that drain your energy, relationships that require you to abandon yourself daily just to keep the peace. But peace without authenticity is not peace, it's emotional suffocation dressed in spiritual language. And here's what you must finally understand. The universe doesn't reward desperation. It rewards alignment. It responds not to your pleading, but to your vibrational decision-making. There are moments in life where your growth demands that you let go, not out of hate, but out of reverence for your evolution. Let go of trying to fix people who are addicted to their wounds. Let go of trying to rewrite the past like a chapter that might turn out better the second time. Let go of timelines that were built on fantasy, not alignment. The version of you that's being born cannot survive in the environment you're trying to drag with you. And yet you still ask, was it my fault? Could I have done more? Maybe if I just try harder, they'll come around. But here's the truth. Jung knew. Trying harder doesn't heal things that were never built to last. You're not failing. You're finally waking up. Waking up to the fact that some things break not because you're weak, but because they were never strong enough to grow with you. And when you release what's heavy, you rise, you remember, you reclaim your energy. There's a version of you waiting on the other side of letting go, one who doesn't carry guilt for choosing peace, one who no longer rearranges themselves for love that's not reciprocated, one who knows letting go is not loss. It's sacred self-respect. Let go of the identity you built just to survive. Let go of the trauma stories you replay just to feel safe. Let go of timelines that shame you for being behind. You were never behind. You were being prepared, matured, refined, realigned, and the moment you stop trying to fix what's meant to fall, the moment you surrender the illusion of control, is the moment your soul finally breathes. This is your permission. Let it break. Let it burn. Let it go. Because on the other side of that release is the version of you that doesn't need to beg, prove, or perform. Just be. Because your becoming is waiting, and it's tired of being delayed by your fear. Chapter 10. Don't let the world turn you into what hurt you. Maybe they lied, maybe they used you, maybe they left without a goodbye, and maybe you've been walking around with that wound ever since, telling yourself that kindness is weakness, that vulnerability is dangerous, that love is a risk not worth taking. But listen closely. Don't let the world turn you into what hurt you. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Because when pain hits, we don't just reject others, we start rejecting ourselves. We armor up. We become what we never wanted to be, cold, guarded, detached, not because we're heartless, but because we were once too heartful, and no one knew how to hold us, so we built walls where bridges were supposed to be. And now, we walk through life half present, half trusting, half alive. But Jung's work teaches us, the goal of life isn't to avoid pain, it's to integrate it, because when you suppress it, it controls you. When you face it, you transmute it, and only then do you truly heal. You think becoming cold will protect you, but it only freezes the parts of you still craving warmth. You think not caring will make you powerful, but apathy is not strength. It's a silent cry for safety. Real strength is staying soft in a world that tried to harden you. Real power is choosing love, after being broken by it. The ego says, "Never again." But the soul says, "Try again," but wiser. You're not meant to become bitter, you're meant to become clear. Because bitterness is what happens when we don't let go. Clarity is what happens when we finally do. So stop becoming the person your pain trained you to be, and start remembering the person you were before the world got to you, before the heartbreak, before the betrayal, before you convinced yourself that your softness was a flaw. It wasn't. It was your superpower. Carl Jung believed that every wound carries the key to awakening. Your pain is not just something to survive. It's something to learn from, to alchemize, to grow through, so you can emerge not as a version of your trauma, but as the version your future has been waiting for. And no, it won't be easy. Forgiveness is hard. Letting go is messy. Healing feels like chaos before it feels like peace. But trust this. Every time you choose your higher self over your wounded self, you are rewriting your destiny. Every time you choose to respond with wisdom instead of rage, you are healing a lineage. You're not just breaking a cycle, you're birthing a new one. So don't let the person who hurt you win by living inside you. Set them down, set yourself free. You're allowed to be whole again, because the world doesn't need more pain recycled as personality. It needs souls like yours, awakened, authentic, and unbreakable. So if today is the day you finally say, "I won't become what broke me," then it's the day you begin again. Not as a victim, but as a vessel, for light, for truth, for freedom. Carl Jung said, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of the parent." So don't pass that pain forward. Let it stop with you. Let your becoming be the revenge. Let your peace be the proof, and let your healing be louder than the hurt. Chapter 11. The Shadow Work Before the Sacred Union. Part 1. Chapter 11. Before the sacred union, before the wedding vows, before the soulmate moment that makes the stars feel close, God will take you somewhere most people avoid, the mirror. Not the one that shows your face, the one that shows your shadow, your pride, your defensiveness, your silent rage, your unspoken fear of being abandoned, again. This is not punishment. It's preparation. Because you cannot build a kingdom marriage on a cracked foundation. You can dress it up in romance, you can post couple goals, but if the root system beneath your love is infected with unhealed childhood wounds, resentment, codependency, or ego, it will collapse. Carl Jung, the father of the shadow, taught us that unless we bring the unconscious into the light, it will rule our lives, and we will call it destiny. And nowhere is this truer than in love, because relationships don't expose your strengths, they expose your wounds, your deepest fears, your hidden patterns, your unprocessed pain. You say you want a partner who sees your soul, but are you even willing to see your own? You want a love that feels safe, but have you made yourself safe for someone else to love? Because true intimacy isn't built in fantasy, it's built in the fire of self-awareness, where ego dies, where triggers rise, where healing becomes the new love language. Shadow work isn't sexy, but it's sacred. It's the slow, silent undoing of everything that once convinced you that you weren't worthy of real love. And maybe that's why it's taking time. Not because God is denying you love, but because He's teaching you how to receive it, without sabotaging it, without doubting it, without performing for it. Because the sacred union you're praying for, it's not casual, it's not temporary, it's not something that comes with a highlight reel and a playlist. It's deep, it's divine. It's the kind of love that can only survive if you have done the work to meet it fully. So instead of asking, "Where is my soulmate?" ask, "Have I met my own soul yet? Have I forgiven the versions of me I used to be? Have I stopped projecting my pain onto new people? Have I made peace with the timeline God is writing?" Because the sacred union is not just about finding the right person. It's about becoming the person who doesn't lose them when they arrive. You don't attract who you want. You attract who you are. And when you've done the shadow work, you don't attract from wounds, you attract from wisdom. So take this season seriously. This waiting, this mirror, this silence, because your future is not being delayed, it's being protected until you are ready. And when that sacred union does arrive, it won't be because you begged for it, it will be because you became it. Carl Jung said, "Your visions will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." The sacred union doesn't start when they arrive. It starts when you awaken. Chapter 12. You aren't asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong people. You keep saying, "Maybe I'm too much, too emotional, too intense, too deep, too sensitive." But what if I told you, you're not too much. You're just asking to be loved in places that were never built to hold you. You're offering full-course meals to people who only came for crumbs. Carl Jung said, "The most damaging thing is not being rejected, but believing that rejection defines your worth." Read that again. They didn't reject you, they revealed themselves. Your soul was just ahead of their capacity. You want depth, but they only know surface. You want honesty, but they speak in performance. You want connection, but they're addicted to distraction. And yet, here you are, still trying to squeeze your sacredness into spaces that can't feel it. Still explaining your worth to people who benefit from you not knowing it. Still waiting for validation from people whose own hearts are still numb. But this is your wake-up call. Stop blaming yourself for being whole in a room that celebrates brokenness. Stop shrinking your truth to fit their fear. Because here's what no one teaches you. Being too much for someone simply means you are too true for their illusion. They didn't leave because you lacked something. They left because you reflected everything they hadn't yet faced. Your light agitated their shadows. Your honesty exposed their avoidance. Your love felt overwhelming because they'd never healed enough to receive it. And that's not your fault. That's their path. And your freedom begins when you stop making their rejection your reflection. Their no doesn't mean you're unworthy. It means you're not misaligned anymore. So don't water yourself down. Don't dim your light to keep fragile egos from feeling insecure. Don't stop expressing, dreaming, loving deeply just because someone else couldn't meet you there. You weren't made to be everyone's cup of tea. You were made to be someone's entire ocean. But before they find you, you must find yourself worthy of the ocean you are. Carl Jung said, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. You don't need more people. You need real ones. People who see your soul without asking you to shrink it. People who don't flinch when you cry, rise when you're silent, or cheer when you choose yourself. People who meet your energy with safety, not strategy. But in order to find them, you must first stop performing for those who were never meant to stay, because the longer you try to make your soul digestible, the longer you delay the people who are starving for your truth. Let them misunderstand you. Let them call you too much. Because the right ones, they will call it exactly enough. So here's your truth. You're not too emotional. You're just deeply alive. You're not too sensitive. You just have an awakened soul. You're not asking for too much. You're just finally realizing your worth. Carl Jung's teachings weren't about becoming better for others. They were about becoming real for yourself. And once you do that, the world you once begged to notice you starts aligning to meet you. Not because you changed, but because you finally stopped apologizing for being the whole damn universe. You were never asking for too much. You were asking the wrong people. Chapter 13. The miracle is you after everything you survived. You keep waiting for the miracle. But no one told you. The miracle is already breathing, already walking, already rising from 1,000 silent breakdowns. It's you. You survived what was meant to destroy you, and you didn't just survive, and you transformed. Carl Jung said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And yet, that's exactly what you did. Even when the world told you to shrink, to hide, to apologize, you chose truth. You chose becoming. The world never saw your silent victories. The nights you cried yourself into strength, the mornings you got up with a soul that felt 90% shattered, but still moved. No one clapped, no one posted it, but you kept going. And that's sacred. That's divine. That's the kind of resilience that doesn't make headlines, but makes history. You didn't just heal. You rebuilt your identity with trembling hands. You rewrote the story they left unfinished. And somehow, you made it art. You're not the same person you were. You're wiser, softer, stronger. Not because life was kind, but because you decided not to let the pain make you cruel. You chose to alchemize it, to turn betrayal into boundaries, loss into lessons, chaos into clarity. Carl Jung believed that suffering was the catalyst to individuation, to becoming whole. You've walked through hell, and you didn't become bitter. You became beautiful, and that's not luck. That's mastery. You've outgrown the cage they put you in, the identity they forced on you, the expectations that suffocated your truth. You've outlived lies, outloved betrayal, outshined everything meant to dim you. And now you walk like someone who knows their power. Now you speak like someone who's met their shadows and made peace with it. Carl Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that's exactly what you've done. You didn't escape your darkness, you integrated it. So stop waiting for the big miracle. It already happened. You're here, breathing, awake, whole. You don't need anyone's permission to rise anymore. You don't need another apology to heal. You don't need closure from someone who never had the capacity to hold you, because you gave yourself everything they withheld. That is power, that is grace, that is the definition of a living miracle, one that doesn't just shine, but radiates, one that doesn't beg, but embodies. So next time you doubt your worth, your strength, your story, look in the mirror. That's not a survivor looking back. That's a creator, a soul who rebuilt from ashes, a spirit who made medicine from pain. Carl Jung's work wasn't about escaping life. It was about becoming whole in the middle of it. And you are whole now. You are sacred now. You are the miracle you've been waiting for. So stand tall, speak loud, shine bright, and never forget, you didn't just make it through. You became someone unstoppable because of it. Chapter 14. The final test before your breakthrough. Right before the breakthrough comes the breakdown. Right before the arrival comes the almost. Right before everything shifts you'll be tempted to give up. Carl Jung said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And that's what this moment is, pain disguised as a final test, to see if you'll choose faith over fear, stillness over scrambling, wholeness over chasing. This is not punishment. This is alignment, asking you to trust what's unseen, even when everything feels uncertain. You're not being abandoned. You're being refined. The silence you're sitting in, it's sacred. The delays you're facing, they're divine. Because your next level isn't casual. It's calling for the version of you that doesn't flinch when it looks like nothing is happening. The final test always comes disguised as stagnation. But what's really happening is calibration, energetic preparation, spiritual restructuring. Because the blessing you're asking for needs a healed version of you to hold it. So if everything feels heavier right now, it's because your next level requires lighter baggage. You can't take self-doubt into divine favor. You can't take old fears into new seasons. You can't carry survival mode into a life designed for overflow. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." And right now, life is confronting everything unconscious in you, not to shame you, but to free you. So you never repeat this chapter again. You asked for healing, so your triggers are rising. You asked for real love, so your abandonment wounds are being revealed. You asked for elevation, so your deepest fears are being shaken loose. And in this storm of emotion, confusion, and silence, you have two choices: break down or break through. This is the in-between, the sacred hallway between who you were and who you're becoming. It's dark, it's uncertain, but it's not empty. Because God, the universe, your higher self, they're all watching, to see if you'll trust the unseen before the miracle becomes visible. Here's the truth. The breakthrough isn't coming to you, it's coming through you. You are the vessel, you are the transformation, but only if you don't quit, only if you don't settle, only if you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this preparing me for?" Carl Jung taught us that the pain is the initiation, the struggle is the doorway, the discomfort is the classroom, and every single one of your doubts right now is proof that something massive is on the horizon. So breathe, don't rush it, don't force it, don't collapse before the curtain lifts, because the final test always comes when you're closest to alignment. This is your edge, this is your stretch, this is where most people turn back. But you won't, because you've come too far to repeat old patterns. You're not who you were when this journey started. And this breakdown, it's the contraction, right before your soul is reborn. So hold on, because what's coming next will make every tear make sense. Your breakthrough is not a dream, it's a destination, and you're almost there. If this message felt like it was written just for you, that's because it was, not by chance, but by divine timing, because your soul is done surviving, it's ready to become. So drop a comment right now. I choose alignment over approval, not for views, not for the algorithm, but as a declaration to your future self, the one who's already waiting on the other side of your healing. And if someone you love is struggling through their silent transformation, send this to them. Let them know. They're not broken. They're becoming. Subscribe for more Carl Jung's forgotten wisdom, because the hidden Jung files are just getting started, and your next chapter is going to be the most soul-aligned, peace-filled, magnetic version of you the world has ever seen. This isn't the end. It's the initiation. Let's rise.